For decades, Jehovah's Witnesses have said that their worldwide preaching work is supported by voluntary donations. But not long ago, something changed. The Watchtower set up a sophisticated financial network based in Ireland. Where does this sudden interest in creating its own investment firms and payment processors come from? Why Ireland? Why use names with biblical references like Mina and Lepta for these companies? And how much does all of this really matter? Could it be connected to the special meetings that elders around the world have been summoned to in October? Today, we're going to uncover the connection between names like Mina Asset Management, Lepta Payment Solutions, and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Before we get started, I want to make something clear. I deeply value my privacy. That's why the narrator image you're seeing was created with artificial intelligence. However, all the research, writing, and editing of this video were done by me, the creator. You can call me Nawachi. The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, founded in the late 19th century, was funded for decades mainly through the sale of its publications, along with cash donations, inheritances, and trusts. In the 1990s, they announced they would stop selling literature at a fixed price. However, in practice, things played out differently. Individual members no longer paid directly for the publications, but congregations continued sending the society the equivalent amount of what they used. As far as I know, this arrangement is still in place today. In more recent times, the organization has generated major income through the sale of kingdom halls and assembly halls. Local congregations are still the ones who cover the expenses of constructing new facilities. At the same time, on a completely different scale, the organization also carried out the multi-million-dollar sale of its Brooklyn, New York properties, worth over $1 billion, which became widely known. All of this already represents an enormous flow of money. But now, we need to add a new element, one that completely changes their funding model. Between July and August of 2024, 3 companies were born: Mina Treasury Services, Mina Asset Management, and Lepta Payment Solutions. Now, it's not as if the Watchtower is trying to hide their existence. In fact, all 3 are registered at the same address as the Watchtower House in Newcastle, Ireland. In the description of this video, you'll find the official links so you can verify it for yourself online. You can also visit the website of Mina Asset Management, which officially launched on September 1st. There, you'll see that its legal address matches the Watchtower House in Ireland. Let's break down the role of these 3 companies and how they fit together. At the top, we have Mina Treasury Services Limited, which acts as the parent company or command center. Its role is to coordinate and control the entire group, centralizing assets, money flows, and taking advantage of the tax and legal benefits that Ireland offers. This structure allows them to consolidate accounts, simplify management, and, at the same time, protect resources from potential lawsuits. Below that, we find Mina Asset Management Limited, the investment arm. This company is licensed by the Central Bank of Ireland to manage alternative investment funds, such as private equity, real estate, and hedge funds. On its official website, it states, "We strive to be responsible stewards of our clients' assets, with a firm commitment to prudent governance, robust risk management, and full regulatory compliance." This raises an unavoidable question. Was it created solely to manage Watchtower's resources, or will it also accept investments from external clients? Either way, we're no longer talking about passive donations, but about active, professional management, using the same language and credentials as any other international investment firm. Finally, there's Lepta Payment Solutions Limited, the internal payment processor. Its mission is to centralize donations from millions of witnesses worldwide. This way, the organization avoids paying fees to third parties, retains a greater share of every contribution, and keeps all financial data under its own system. In short, Mina Treasury commands, Mina Asset invests, and Lepta collects. 3 pieces that fit together in a mechanism designed to centralize, multiply, and shield the organization's financial resources. And who's running these companies? Some of the executives are well-known figures in the international financial world. For example, Philip Lofts, former chief risk officer at the Swiss bank UBS and CEO of UBS Americas, or Vasilius Pappas, co-founder and managing director of Senegon Asset Management, a major European investment firm. There's also Nathan Boccaccio, a well-known financial advisor, and Tobias Brauerleit, a German economist with experience in banking and asset management. On the other hand, within the organizational structure of Jehovah's Witnesses, names like Stuart Bull and Nolan Van Gethesemy stand out, both linked to the International Bible Students Association. So, clearly, we're not talking about brothers who just took a basic accounting course. We're talking about top-level financial professionals. Now then, why Ireland? Because it's an international financial hub with tax advantages and a favorable legal framework. Companies there pay one of the lowest corporate tax rates in Europe, which means more money available for the organization. But there's more. By moving its assets out of the United States, the Watchtower places its capital under different laws that are harder to reach. In practice, this means that a large portion of its money is kept out of the direct reach of U.S. courts, where the Watchtower Corporation faces lawsuits. In other words, in Ireland, they're not just saving on taxes. They're also shielding their resources from lawsuits and multimillion-dollar settlements. On the other hand, the names of these companies are no coincidence. In the Bible, a mina was an ancient unit of value, roughly equivalent to a large sum of money. Its most well-known reference appears in the parable of the 10 minas in Luke 19 verses 11 to 27, where a nobleman entrusts minas to his servants so they can put them to work while he is away. When he returns, the nobleman rewards those who multiply the money and punishes the ones who simply kept it hidden without gaining anything. By naming its financial companies Mina Treasury and Mina Asset Management, the Watchtower isn't just choosing a catchy name, it's wrapping an entire strategy inside a biblical framework. The implicit idea is that the organization's vast economic resources, its investments, properties, and capital reserves, shouldn't sit idle, but instead must be actively managed and multiplied for the benefit of King Jesus Christ. In this way, a corporate model straight out of Wall Street is dressed up with spiritual justification. Investing, taking risks, and growing money no longer appear as worldly practices, but rather as a kind of sacred duty. On the other hand, the term lepton, plural lepta, was the smallest copper coin in circulation during the time of Jesus. Its biblical significance appears in the account of the widow's offering in Mark 12 verses 41 to 44. There, a poor woman drops 2 lepta into the temple treasury, and Jesus declares that her offering is the most valuable of all because she gave everything she had. In the New World Translation used by Jehovah's Witnesses, this passage is rendered as 2 small coins of very little value. The meaning is the same. What seems tiny and insignificant becomes the greatest of all when it is given with sacrifice. By naming its payment company Lepta Payment Solutions, the Watchtower wraps a financial mechanism in a layer of religious symbolism. The connection is obvious. Just as the widow gave her 2 small coins, millions of witnesses around the world make small contributions every month or every week. Naming the company this way sanctifies the process of collecting donations, sending the message that every transaction, no matter how small, carries immense spiritual value. It reinforces the narrative that these small offerings, added up together, are the true economic pillar that sustains the organization's entire worldwide machinery. Is all of this connected to the special meetings that elders have been summoned to in October? We can't say for certain, but there's a strong chance it is. Either way, what is clear is that the organization is making a financial shift like never before. The evidence points to something undeniable. In practice, the priority is always the organization, not the individual. The rank-and-file member is treated as a constant source of contributions, but never as the real beneficiary of this corporate framework. And here lies the greatest contradiction. Jehovah's Witnesses are reminded again and again to store up no treasures on earth, to keep their eyes simple, to live modestly without pursuing wealth or long-term personal projects. Yet at the same time, the organization is building an international system to accumulate, multiply, and shield its own treasures. The gap between the message and the reality is enormous. The individual gives up, sacrifices, and hands over their 2 small coins of very little value, while the institution transforms itself into a global financial player, with banking licenses, parent corporations, and a tax haven in Ireland. In the end, one uncomfortable question remains. Is the faith they preach really in the service of the believers? Or are the believers in the service of an empire that's only seeking to secure its own survival? Let me ask you something. Do you want this content to reach more and more people who need it? It's really simple, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Just hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, leave a like, and share this video with anyone you think it could help. Thank you for being part of this project. See you soon.